Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse here, and I am back for another end of year wrap up video, or in this case, in this year's case, series of videos. I figured, everything else has been so different in 2020. I had a little bit of a different idea for this year, so you know what? We're going to wrap up the year a little bit differently in 2020. Instead of having one epically long wrap up video, I'm going to try and split things into multiple videos. So I think we're going to do kind of a 5-day, lead up to New Year's, especially since it ends on a Friday. It works out perfectly. We're just going to be covering a little bit of a different topic each day, talking about stuff throughout the year. So in the background here, I just found a kind of a looping video of a U-log fireplace here. That's why we're just chilling out. I just wanted to relax again with the year that 2020 has been. Just wanted to kick back, relax, have something interesting to look at on the screen, since this is a video. But just kick back in front of a fire. We just got dumped on last night. Actually, we had pretty much no snow here last night as I'm recording this. I'm recording this on Christmas Eve, and last night we got dumped on several inches, so we do definitely have a white, snowy Christmas. That's about the only thing that seems Christmassy right now, but there you go. So here's the plan. We're going to start this wrap-up series here. We're going to start with the bad things. Since 2020, again, it's really just been terrible for a lot of people, and in a lot of ways. We're going to get the bad stuff out of the way first, and then going forward, we can hopefully try to dig our way out of this hole, out of this mess, out of this disastrous year that has been 2020, so much for the start of a wonderful new decade. We're just going to... So in the first video, we're going to, like I said, cover the bad things. Then we're going to do some of the good things, like good trends, good things that happened in 2020. Gaming related, accessibility related, all kinds of stuff. Third day, we're going to take a look at just some of the launches and events and other things that have gone on this year. The fourth day, and that'll probably be the longest video, because that's where we're going to go through both some accessible games highlights and mainstream game highlights, and just kind of go through the year in gaming for 2020. And the last video will be kind of a hopeful look at 2021. So hopefully we can leave this cursed year behind and move on. So, chilling in front of the fire, grab your drink, whatever you want it to be, and so check back for videos every day this week. Gonna mix things up a little bit. So, like I said, getting the bad stuff out of the way first. 2020, I mean, all you have to say is 2020 at this point. It's pretty much become its own meme. It's taking on a life of its own, because, boy, how much a year can change things, I mean, last year, I started out single. I had no clue other than, I think it was early January when I found out that I was really going to go to GA Conf. So, last year was just this huge, year of awesomeness, and I thought, God, things are really looking up, things are going well, a lot of unexpected but great things happened, and then, somebody thought otherwise and just decided to take a whole big old dump on everything else. So, boy, so much optimism, so much hope for 2020, right down the crapper. It's been bad in a lot of ways. 2020, really the only place I'm going to mention this here, obviously if you've been watching the channel now for a couple of years, if you've been following me on Mixer and Twitch the last couple of years, 2019, found found a girlfriend. That was amazing. That was awesome. And we started doing some videos, and we did a lot of co-streaming. So we were both up here doing streams. There's still a few of those left, so you're still going to get a little bit of Riley on the channel from some of the stream archives. I've been mixing those in with some of the more timely streams that I didn't want to delay from this year. But we got a few of those left. But yeah, 2019 found, Riley and I found each other and decided to give things a whirl, and things were looking good. But unfortunately, as I reported in the May or June update this year, I believe, unfortunately things did not work out. We just she kind of broke it off. We kind of broke up earlier this year. Really sucks. Especially in a year like this, just being able to go through and tolerate the rest of this year with somebody, but, like I said, it really does suck. It is what it is. I'm not going to go into any of the real personal details, but yeah, it was hard, I mean, it just didn't work out, and, I don't really wish her any ill will or anything like that. Hope things are going well. I've talked to her a couple of times via text and things like that since then, so she seems to be doing okay. As you see here on the channel, I'm keeping myself quite busy. But yeah, there's times where it's like, man, if this would have happened differently, if that would have happened differently, you think about it and you're like, man, that does suck, And I don't know if I want to say ironically or what the correct term would be, but this year just seems to be crap for everybody, because it seems like most of a lot of people that I know that were going out with somebody, not going to mention anybody, but just people that I talk to, people that I know, everybody's getting just dumped on this year. Everybody's getting dumped this year. A lot of people that were coupled this at the beginning of 2020 have broken up or got dumped on as well. So, yeah, I guess it's just a bad year all around for that type of thing. But yeah, it really sucks. I really enjoyed having the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and all those types of things. Was looking forward to having that, especially since hey, the COVID, we can't go home. And I can't go visit the family this year. I'll talk to them. But, it's just a kind of fun time to kick back, relax, and be with family and friends and eat food and that. But, no, flying solo this year. So, yeah, the breakup thing really kind of did suck. And we'll get into it. I'll mention it right here since it ties into it. But, Doom Eternal, we were really, both of us are huge, Doom Left 4 Dead fans. And we both were looking forward to Doom Eternal, but, right around that exact time of Doom Eternal's launch, the breakup went through, the whole breakup happened, COVID happened, and so, that should have been a hugely amazing, anticipated game, and for me personally, yeah, we'll talk about it when we get to Doom Eternal later, but a lot of things just surrounding that game now have just really killed it for me. Eventually I might be able to go back and play it again. Eventually I might be able to, because like I said, when I did play it, the battles are amazing. Some of the battles and stuff are awesome. But due to some of the mechanics and just a lot of the other crap that happened around then, yeah, that game just, what I thought was going to be one of my most hyped games of the year is pretty much just a fleeting echo at this point. I haven't finished the game yet. I haven't touched the Doom Eternal, what do they call it? Basically the expansion that came out later this year with the season pass that's supposed to be really, really hard. Nope, I haven't even touched it. So I probably will go back to it at some point in the future. Maybe if I get a new rig, play everything just super crazy. then. But yeah, right now that game just lost pretty much a lot of its hype and luster for me. So that was a real bummer. A lot of things leading up to it that were cool, and then everything just went bleh, dead. So that was a super bummer. And of course, COVID. I mean, you can't talk about 2020 without COVID. This thing has just disrupted everything, everybody worldwide. Not just nationwide, but worldwide. Now we're hearing about this super strain of it that is over in England, and that is way more. What's the word I'm looking for? It spreads way faster, way easier. So that's a nightmare. But a lot of these, a lot of our events got canceled. A lot of things went virtually online. People weren't able to go anywhere. People are getting kind of depressed and stir crazy. And then not to mention, I mean, of course, just people getting sick, people dying. I can't imagine the stress that is on the healthcare workers and first responders. Even the people that have to go out and, let's say, deliver groceries or mail or packages, or the people that we rely on to keep the core infrastructure of our lives running, and then you get a bunch of people, a bunch of douchebags that don't treat it seriously and think it's a scam and spread it and all this stuff. I've known personally people who have had COVID, who have been in the hospital due to COVID now, who have died due to COVID, unfortunately. So, yeah, this thing is totally real. Yes, we are just starting to get vaccines coming out, which, thank God, that is, just within the last week or so, things are just starting to come into Minnesota. And of course, it's going to be a while before people like me, not first responders. I mean, obviously, it should first go to first responders, people working, people, the elderly, people who are really susceptible to this. I can stay home, I can work. I will get the vaccine when I can. But yeah, I mean, it's just disrupted everyone. And yes, it sucks that you can't go anywhere. Yes, it sucks you can't go to concerts. It sucks that you can't go be with your friends, go to the bar, go to a restaurant or whatever. But, really, is it more important that you have that little bit of fun, that it's all about you? Or is it the fact that even if you don't get COVID, if you end up carrying it, and if you get friends, family, or any, random other people sick, that's what I think a lot of people just don't seem to get through their head. They go out and do these things, like, well, I'm safe, I put my mask on. And some people don't even do that, It's just, no, I mean, I don't want to get it. I dread getting it. I don't want to be on a ventilator, but I certainly don't want to give it to other people. That's part of the reason why I decided not to go home for Christmas this year. I mean, I could have probably gone, but I didn't really want to spend time on a train ride for a few hours, in a tin can with people around me. I didn't want to give it to my parents, and we weren't going to be able to go anywhere or do anything anyway. So we all just mutually decided that, well, we'll give it a break this holiday season, but we'll maybe hopefully try next year. But yeah, this COVID thing has just really disrupted everything. It's been, I barely remember, like, there's maybe one or two things that I remember pre-March this year. Otherwise, like January through March, I barely remember jack about those first few months. But, like I said, the breakup, the COVID, just all this stuff just started, that's where things just started to really snowball. So yeah, COVID, yeah. And then on top of that, midsummer, we get all this racial stuff happening. And of course it happened, one of the big ones happened in my backyard. in Minneapolis. That's all I really have to say. And it's pathetic that we have to still be places where people have to go out of their, go out of their houses and fear that they're not going to get shot, that they're not going to get beat up, just due to the color of their skin or where they're from or, their religion or ability or disability. Like, there's just all these people that just get, I mean, like I said before, yeah, I experienced discrimination from a disability perspective, but that's nothing compared to, like I said, I've heard little kids going, if I go outside, do I have to work? Am I going to get shot today? You shouldn't have to teach your kids specific ways to act or like gestures or what to do, so you don't get shot by cops or so that you don't get, suspected. But yeah, all this stuff spiraled out of control, fires and looting and just all kinds of stuff. And even around the country, we sort of hit the tipping point. And in a way, sadly though, like, yeah, it was big for about a couple of weeks. It was big for about a month. And then it seemed to kind of just die back down to normal again. Like we're not really hearing anything. I don't know, like, yeah, when it's a big publicity thing or when you can get attention for it, people are all in. But I wonder how much work is actually being done, to stop this stuff from happening in the future. Like how many times can all this happen? And I'm not going to speak to it because, like I said, I'm a middle-aged white dude, so, just seeing it from the outside, it's terrible, and I keep seeing even on Twitter through like local, like news tweets and stuff, it's like, or news headlines, it's oh, another person got shot or stabbed. I saw a thing, was it this morning or yesterday, that some kid got shot in North St. Paul. I'm like, oh, Jesus. So, yeah, this stuff is just, it's got to stop. Just something has got to be done. It's so terrible. And, of course, this being an election year as well, oh yeah, we know, I always hate election years just because of the constant ads and, crap slinging that people do. It's like, when people run for office, they if I swear, if I could make a few rules for Congress, if I could make a few laws for our government, one of them would happen to be like, okay, each party gets only so much campaign money. They have to do with it what they will, but you can't, this is the money that you get. Go do your thing. And you talk about what you're going to do for your campaign. You talk about what you're going to do. And if you start bad-mouthing the other guy, guess what? You're automatically disqualified. I don't want to hear you just bad-mouthing the other person. I want to know what happens when you get into office. What types of things are important to you? What types of things are you going to try to pass into law or what problems are you going to try to address? That's what campaigning, that's what running for office should be. And, whether it's local or state or federal, it's just a three-ring circus. It's just it's just a circus. That's really basically what it amounts to. I'm not going to say how I voted. There were good and, there were bad things about both candidates. I didn't think that, either one of them had, you're never going to find a politician that's like perfect, of course, but boy, the way that our current president, I'm going to be so glad when we don't have to wake up in the morning and worry about, oh, did we cause World War III this morning? Or what kind of dumb shit did he say on Twitter? Or what kind of, just what weird drama or disaster happened now? Like, it's just going to be refreshing to wake up and be like, oh, this happened. And it's not some sort of like immense stupidity or cataclysmic thing that happened. It's going to be sort of refreshing, I got to admit. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. That's all I'm going to say about politics. But, yeah, I mean, those are, like I said, that's enough for 2020 as it is. That's just some of your mainstream, like, societal stuff that happened. I do have a few tech and gaming things kind of written down as well. Some trends that I really, again, first one, this isn't new to 2020, but it's still just as pervasive as ever. Microtransactions, it used to be a mobile thing. It used to sort of kind of creep into games, PC and console games. Oh no, now it's just fully getting into console and PC games. Whether it's free to play or even on a $60 game, you could buy a collector's edition of a game and they're still like, oh, by the way, we're still going to sell you crap. The cosmetic stuff, I don't mind so much. I mean, in previous generations of consoles or of gaming, you would have things as unlockables. Oh, perform some, they would be tied to achievements or beating levels or high scores or cheat codes or whatever. But now, oh no, we can't just have it all wrapped up in a game. Everything has to be monetized. And I don't like things that affect gameplay being barred behind microtransactions or extra things. Now, like an expansion pack is one thing. Oh, you're gonna give us like a whole, secondary campaign, like the Fear first-person shooter, or many games. Half-Life had expansion packs. Blue Shift, Opposing Force for Half-Life. The original Fear had a couple of expansion packs. I mean, a lot of games PC did. That's fine. Or if you're doing like a substantial update to a game and you're charging a little bit extra, sure, okay, I get that. But, if you're playing multiplayer and then you put maps behind a paywall, let's say, well, then you're splintering your player base because, people who bought the maps can only play with people who have them. People who don't buy the maps can't play with the people who do. So it kind of just gets to be a little crazy there, a little inconvenient there, to say the least. And then you have these like experience doublers and things like that. And one of the other things that I really dislike, I've seen in a few games now, where they launch with no microtransactions, because then they can get the reviews out and people can review the game as is, and people like them, typically. Well, a month or two later after release, well, now we're going to sneak the microtransactions in, because now all the reviews are out there and the main people that bought them have the game, and now they just think that people won't notice, and now they can just start adding on and like charging for these types of things. No, that I think is bullshit. That should be, if you're gonna put transactions in the game, even if you don't make it for launch, this needs to be disclosed. This needs to be disclosed prior to launch, because that's just a bait and switch. That's some real shady crap, and I don't really like that. So, yeah. Oh, yes. And what a next item this is. Unfinished or broken games. Cyberpunk, anyone? But a lot of people, a lot of games are coming out lately. Ever since we've had microtransactions and early, downloadable content, we had little, like, it all started with the horse armor for Oblivion. And then, all kinds of games started doing it. We had extra missions, we had skins and add-ons and stuff. That stuff is sure fine. But then we also have the ability to, we can update and patch our games. And especially on a AAA release, I don't know if I can think of a game at all off the top of my head, unless possibly a Nintendo release, where there hasn't been some kind of day one patch. Oftentimes, big day one patch. The fact that a game is actually finished and quote unquote ready for launch or gone gold is kind of a crock nowadays, because, and especially like, okay, I get it. I get having physical media still because, we have bandwidth caps. That's a whole other thing I could talk about that I didn't even put on here. Comcast upping the prices and lowering their bandwidth caps for some places next year. That's terrible. COVID proved that we don't have to have bandwidth caps, and it's just another way for your ISPs to get money. It's a load. But yeah, I get it. People have slow internet. People have data caps, and not everyone's going to be able to easily download 40, 50, 150 gigabytes of data for a single friggin' game. But that said, okay, another big argument for physical copies of games is for preservation, collection, when you get things on a cartridge, typically the game is what it is. That's what you had, or even a CD or DVD. But in the last generation or two of consoles, especially this past generation, okay, 20 years from now, I want to go back and play a game that came out in 2019, 2020. And for whatever reason, the servers have moved on. You can't download the patches, the updates for these older games anymore. And all you have access to is whatever's on your hard drive or whatever's on your disk. Well, guess what? If you wanted to play Cyberpunk 2077 20 years from now, and all you had was the disc, well, guess what? A lot of people are going to be really boned. It's going to be a horrible experience. The game is, largely broken on consoles in a lot of cases. PC had significant day one patches and, subsequent patches. But I'm not just picking on Cyberpunk. I mean, like I said, every game seems to have a day one patch now. So there, I know there's a lot of games coming out every day, so it's hard to evaluate every one, if you're Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo or Steam or whatever. But there's got to be some sort of, even post-launch thing that you could do. Okay, if you knowingly release a bad game that, not necessarily bad quality gameplay, but if the game is functionally broken and you need a 50 gig patch to run the damn thing day one, if the game that I could physically ship on a disc isn't at least comfortably playable, yes, we can optimize a few things, we can speed things up, we can fix a couple very rare bugs or something, yeah, that's fine. But if you, especially if you intend on shipping physical media, and no, you should not be allowed to ship an unfinished game. That's called a demo. That's called a beta or an alpha or something. Because you're still going to have to download huge, giant patches anyway. And like I said, 20 years down the road when I want to play that game, if I've got a physical copy, well, guess what? I'm going to be playing a pretty subpar initial version of the game. So, yeah, I think some of these console manufacturers and platform holders really kind of need to crack down on some of this because, okay, yes, I understand we gotta launch this game because we gotta make money for our shareholders and it's gotta be at Q2, Q4, whatever. But no, Cyberpunk was the breaking point. But like I said, we've seen this for so long, and it's gotten bad enough where, like I said, these platforms are just going to have to be like, no. Especially if you're going to release physical media, the game has to be at a certain point. It has to be playable from start to finish. You shouldn't have game-breaking bugs. Like I said, a few glitches, sure, but game-breaking bugs or just stability, it's got to be there because this game that you're going to ship should be something that someone should be able to put in their console and at least play. That's my opinion. People might not like it, but that's my opinion. Nintendo does patch their games sometimes. And they leave things out like like the Mario 3D Anniversary Collection that they released earlier this year. They left out some camera control things. Like they reversed the camera controls, and a lot of people hated it, and they patched that in. Now that's not a game-breaking bug. That's something that they should have accounted for. I mean, come on, that's something that anybody should have known. But at least like the games were fully playable day one. The games didn't crash. They were playable. And a lot of Nintendo games are. So that is one benefit that typically, especially first-party Nintendo titles, they have. So that is something that I would really like to see tightened up on. These games that just, and again, like not Battlefield, like Call of Duty. I mean, come on, 50, 75 gig, 150 gig patches on a regular basis. Dear God, man. Some people, that's a tenth of their bandwidth cap for the month. Good grief. So yeah, unfinished games. Oh yeah, the next one. So there's been a whole hubbub this year with Twitch and YouTube. It's been going on for a while. The whole copyright claim system. I know the copyright system is broken. It's never been more evident as it is now. But, it's one of the reasons that I sort of kind of wondered about continuing to stream on Twitch, because there's this whole thing going on with copyrighted music especially, but copyrighted content. If you blatantly just, if you just post a movie that somebody else created, and hey, there's, I posted a song, I posted a movie that was nothing but that, just pirating it essentially. Yeah, that makes sense. They're going to go after you. But for fair use, game developers, they want you to stream their game in most cases. People learn about it. You get to show other people. More people get interested. I can't tell you how many games I've learned about through podcasts, through YouTube videos, through Twitch streams, that I'm like, oh, hey, this looks cool. I want to play this for myself. And then I go look it up on Steam or whatever platform, and I buy it myself. So it's win-win for everybody. I get more games. Developers and publishers, they get more of their games sold. Cool. But so many games have like licensed music into them, and it's a core part of the game. I would argue that Tony Hawk 1 and 2 that came out earlier this year, the remaster, the soundtrack is a huge part of those games. That's one of the main things that we remember. And one thing's even in their PR cycle leading up to the release of the game, like, oh, hey, we got all these licensed tracks back, all the ones that you remember. And people were like, oh, is this song going to be in there? Is that one going to be in there? They added new songs. That's a whole, even open world games, they have radio stations. Then you have games that are essentially based on music. Sequence Storm, Rock Band, Guitar Hero. What is it? Drop Mix, I think it's called. Fuser, I think, is the new one that came out that everyone was talking about a few weeks ago. These are games that are literally based around music. That Double Kick Heroes game that I braved it and I streamed a few weeks ago. These are like, music is the core aspect of those games. And so muting the music would be really stupid, because they just see you pressing buttons and, all these shapes going down the screen. But it doesn't mean anything without the music. So, I mean, again, I'd say that the platform holders, Twitch, YouTube, etc., have to be a little bit more, they're relying on all these people that create content for them, who use their system. They got to stick up for their developers, negotiate some sort of a deal where, with these companies, to say, hey, in these situations, whether it's like streaming a gameplay, doing commentary, or a review, I could do a review of, let's say, an Apple TV or a set-top box, and I show the menu, and then I show how quick it is to load into a episode of a TV show or a movie. I did that with my Apple TV review a couple years ago, and it like showed a 5-10 second clip of a movie, and I didn't get a copyright strike, but I got a claim on it because it was like, oh, you showed a little bit of this movie. I'm like, I did it in the context of a review to show how quickly the system loaded from the menu to playing the movie. That was the point. So, yeah, I mean, this stuff has just gone, again, it's just gone way too far. The actual creators are just not, I don't think, getting the support that they need in a lot of cases. And then we get this recent COVID relief bill that I don't even know the status of it. I know as of last night, Mr. Trump was wanting to veto it because it didn't have some stuff, and I, didn't read into the whole thing. But again, I'm going to try not to get too political here, but they are putting together this COVID relief plan, which of course we need a COVID relief plan. So many people lost their jobs. So many people need help. They need help for their businesses, their livelihood, their families. Yeah, this should have been done months ago. But this resolution, this law, this whatever, 6,500 frickin' pages. It was introduced just a few days ago. You can't tell me. I mean, I saw a video, I forget what news organization it was, but I saw a video. Somebody had printed out a stack of the paper of what that bill looked like. And yeah, 6,500 pages, that sucker was tall. There is no way in hell probably any of these congressmen and women read what was all crammed into that thing. They knew the broad gist of it. But, my biggest problem is that you have these laws or these bills that people put in there, and they get all of these they put these riders in. They put these, there's this log rolling is what they call it, where they have, oh, well, it's kind of, quid pro quo. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You vote for my bill, I'll vote for your bill. But then you have these riders that people stick in these bills to try to sneak something totally irrelevant in a lot of cases to something bigger that has to pass. So, like, obviously we want people to have, economic relief from COVID and all the things that happened this year. So, yeah, we got to pass like something like that through. So we take this COVID business relief plan and we cram other dumb things in there. We're like, oh, well, we're going to make streaming copyrighted content a felony. A felony, which would which would result in jail time. So, like, if jail/prison time. They say they're targeting it toward, like, the big players that, like Pirate Bay, or people that, like, specialize in streaming or downloading pirated content. But, it's all in how you interpret the law. If some, let's say, music producer company, they find a video that somebody did, and, oh, there's some background music of a game in there, or something like that, and they say, we're going to copyright strike you and claim you, and we're going to take you to court. This could be a really scary time. Everyone was mad about SOPA last year and the child protection stuff last year. That's pretty, I mean, that has its own issues for sure, but that's almost tame to what could happen if just by, like, having an archive stream or a video up there and someone decides to go overzealous and try to search for, let's see if we can make some money and sue some people or something like that. But, like, you're putting these riders in these bills where, like, okay, maybe I want to do something about financial relief, but we're going to put something in there about the hunting of squirrels in there because that's totally relevant. Or we're going to put, in an education bill, we're going to put something about, oh, I don't know, what's something really dumb and unrelated. So we're going to do something about education, but we're going to put something about, I don't even know, but just something totally unrelated. And again, I mentioned earlier, I mentioned about the campaigning. Another thing that I would absolutely love to make an amendment for the Constitution, because some of this stuff almost seems unconstitutional. It seems so ridiculous. I would love to have a thing where you could put in an amendment to say, no, one bill is going to be about one topic, and you're not going to shoehorn other completely unrelated crap in there just to sneak it through. Because, like I said, even if you had 2-3 days, 6,500 pages, I guarantee you most, if not any, people have read that full bill, and they probably don't even know some of these dumb, weird things that are hidden inside of this 6,500, 6,600 page report. So that, 2021, that's going to be something really interesting to see, if this actually does go into play, this COVID relief, and it's a part of that, what form does that take, and how aggressive are these companies going to be about going after people or platform holders, because again, I watched this video from a lawyer. They cover a lot of these tech topics and stuff, and he's pretty interesting. And like he said, it's like it depends on how the law is covered. You're looking at, okay, the websites are responsible. Well, if you're looking at it, well, then Twitch or YouTube, let's say, would be technically responsible for the content filtering of these copyrighted materials. But then you could also interpret it to say, well, youtube.com/illegally cited. Yeah, it's YouTube, but illegally cited is sort of my own domain. So that particular sort of subdomain of that website could be interpreted as my own website because I manage it. I make all the videos, uploads, and playlists and stuff like that. So, I don't know, man. This is definitely going to be an issue to watch because it could potentially affect a lot of people and could be kind of scary. So that is something that, is really, I don't know what else to say about it. Another bad thing, yes, we saw the death of Mixer this year. I used to stream on Mixer. I actually really kind of liked it. They had some unique features that I didn't really use, but I know some other totally blind players and other people did use, called this co-pilot thing. You can still do co-pilot on Xbox, but you have to do it, I think, locally, where like basically two players could use two different controllers, and with Mixer you could do it remotely. So let's say you had a blind player who could kind of play the game but had trouble getting around, the environment, navigation. Players would do this so that some people, one person could handle the navigational stuff, and then you get into a combat thing or whatever, and the blind player could take over. That's a really cool thing. And like I said, literally the day or two before the announcement of Mixer going down, I had just received an email, and the people who sent out the email didn't even know. They were just going to be starting, I'm not even sure what it was going to be, but they were just starting some sort of new accessibility, new initiative that they were going to be working on, and I was theoretically going to be a part of that. I was looking forward to it, and then literally, like the next day or two, nope, blip, Mixer's going. Huh? That was a big surprise. So I hope the people there landed on their feet. Like I said, with all the COVID stuff and people losing their jobs, and I hope that people were able to relocate or be reassigned or, find employment again. But yeah, Mixer going away, that was definitely a surprise. And then Twitter, or not Twitter, Twitch. Right around the start of the Game Accessibility Conference this fall, they got rid of they let go their lead accessibility person there. I can't remember your name, sorry, buddy. But that was just a really unexpected and disappointing surprise. Yeah, since then they donated a bunch to able gamers and things like that. And they've done a few things here and there, but like you kind of wonder, like, oh, we're going to get rid of your accessibility lead. So what does that mean for the future of accessibility in Twitch? Are you going to hire somebody else? Are you going to treat accessibility as important going forward? I don't know. So far it seems to be still okay. I'm doing Twitch streams sometimes and it's going pretty well, but going forward I'm curious to see what is happening. But that was another sort of disappointing surprise. Oh yes, the wonderful, wonderful scalpers. We had 2 new consoles launched this fall. Well, technically 3 if you want to count both SKUs of the Xbox, but we had 2 to 3 new consoles launched this year. We had new video cards, new AMD processors, all these tech items. We had a few items from Nintendo, the Mario Kart Live thing, we had the Game & Watch thing, and all of these things, Apple stuff, traditionally, whatever. There's got to be a better way to do these sort of launches, because you get these bots, you get these scalpers, honest, actual people, users who want to use these things can't get them, but people are sitting, these scalpers are sitting on just piles of them and charging 2, 3, 4 times the retail price of these items. It's always, especially in technology, it seems it's always been kind of a problem during major product launches, and then you get the dingnuts who are like, hey, I actually got a console, but I'm going to go out in the parking lot and smash it in front of all you other people just so you can say, haha, I got one, but you didn't. I mean, God, these people. But I mean, really, having this free-for-all thing just isn't working. Like, I almost think that you have to have, I think there should be a way for major product launches for people to just sign up directly with the company and be like, okay, I want to pre-order the new Xbox or the PlayStation. And then that way, then they would know how many people want to pre-order, and they'll know how much supply they'll have, and they can kind of more accurately let people know as well. But like, just be in a queue, like, okay, we're going to start pre-orders. You have to have a Microsoft account, an Xbox Live account, or a PSN account, or a Nintendo account, or an Apple ID, whatever it is. And that way, you're tying it to a real person. And then if you start doing weird shenanigans, guess what? Then they can go after you specifically. They can be like, hey, no, we're going to ban you, or we're going to, whatever you're going to do if you're doing some of this whatever stuff. But, I think that would be kind of a win-win. I mean, yes, you would have to figure out a way to cut in your brick and mortar retailers, because, Best Buy or, Walmart or whatever. But even then, maybe they issue a code that you plug into, then like a coupon code that you plug into said Best Buy website or something to say, hey, I actually reserved one I reserved a PlayStation through Sony. I want to get it from you guys, so I would like to have some of your stock reserved for me. Here's the proof that I have my PSN ID, and that I'm a real person, and that I'm buying it with the intent to buy it and not scalp it. I don't know. I mean, there's got to be, because like I said, every retail launch this fall has just been a complete disaster in a lot of ways. So I don't know. That's just another really frustrating trend. So those are some of the, again, again, as usual, a little longer video than I thought it would be, but boy, yeah, I mean, getting the negativity out of the way first, that's really what I wanted to do, because obviously being 2020, we really had to talk about some of the negative stuff, and boy, was there. You know, I could have rattled on probably a bit more on a few of these things, but yeah, I mean, these are, I'm sure I even forgot some stuff, so that is the bad part of the week, bad part of the review. But going forward, we are going to try and be more positive, be more hopeful, and put the misery of 2020 behind us. So we're going to wrap up day one here, and next time we're going to talk about some of the positive things that were in 2020. So we'll wrap it up here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like it if you did. You can follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally-cited, illegally-cited.com, and right here on YouTube. Happy holidays, everybody.